Hi, I'm Reed Pettengill. I'm here at Durastill in Kansas City, Missouri. This is how you receive your distiller. It is in 2 boxes, and I'm going to show you how to unpackage it. It's in 2 boxes so it doesn't get damaged in any way. I've never seen one damaged yet. So when you order your distiller, it comes to your home. This is how it comes. Now, if you've ordered a 30H or a 30J or a 46C, they're all the same box. They're all the same dimensions, and this is all the only way they're packaged. We'll open the outside box and undo it. You raise it up and get this flap underneath. And you tip it up. When you get it to this position, you just lift the top box off, and you'll see that it's got another box underneath it, just like the top one, except it fits inside of it. You get that off and set that aside. And you'll see on the box arrows that say this side up. Well, that's good and fine while you're shipping it, but while you're undoing it, I always like to flip it so it says this side up is down, and I open the bottom. And I do that because it's so well taped inside there and suspended in that box that it's hard to get out from the top. But it's really easy to get out from the bottom, so I'll show you how you do that. You just do it exactly the same way as we did before. And you flip all the sides back down. You tip it like that. And then you tip it so it says this side up. And then you lift your lid off, and there's your distiller and all your parts right there. And that's the easiest way to get it out of the box. I know, I've done hundreds of them. This is the back side of the distiller. This foam protection comes on the distiller that they wrap it with. This is one of the most well packaged things you'll ever get in the mail. So what you do is you quickly take the foam off by cutting the tapes that hold it down to the packaging mount, and you just lift that up over the top, and you be careful you don't scratch it in any way with your razor knife. These wing nuts right here, you just undo those and all this foam comes off. If you just slide that like that and pull that out, and the lid's upside down on it, you take the lid out and put it over here, and then all the foam comes out. Now this is very important, this next step. You take this wing nut clear off right here. A lot of people forget about this. There's a piece of cardboard down in there holding the float from bouncing around during shipping. And that holds it. Now there's also a piece of cardboard in there underneath it, and you pull that out, or you may have a little fire when you turn your heating element on, or you'll have your boiling chamber full of wet paper. So you pull these 2 things out of the boiling chamber when you unpackage it. When you open it up and pull that off, you have a sample of Still Clean and your warranty and all your manual right there in a package. And you save that. Do not discard that. You'll be needing that. Now you'll notice on the back of this distiller is a plug, and this is an automatic distiller, so it has a water inlet tube, and that's right there. It's just like in the back of your refrigerator. It's an 1/8 inch OD line, and you plumb that into your water supply after your pre-filter. There's a package of legs that comes with this. There's also a lid knob. We'll open that up. You put your cross brace on top of your lid, and you screw your knob on top of that. Just like that. Very simple. You put your wing nut back on the top. You don't have to have the wing nuts clear off to put the lid on, because the lid goes down and it slides sideways and then back and locks. Give it a slight little turn on the lid So the lid turns just a little bit before you seal it down. Then you tighten it down, and your lid's got a tight seal on it, and it will have for the lifetime of your distiller if you do it that way at first. Now, if you're putting this on a tank, you are, because this one is an automatic. So if it's a 10-gallon tank, you don't put these legs on it. But if it's the 25-gallon tank, you put the legs on it, and they just screw onto these bolts on the bottom of your distiller. You can adjust the level with these legs so that it doesn't wobble. You just screw the leg on the bottom in a counterclockwise motion until it's just barely snug is all it takes. Just lift it up and tilt it back. Now you have your distiller out of the box with the legs on it. Okay, this kit comes in your distiller. It has 50 feet of plastic line to hook your water up. Has a saddle valve to clamp onto a pipe in your home somewhere. And it hooks onto this water inlet on the back side, and the fittings are provided in this bag to hook it all up. Also in line is this pre-filter. All the fittings are with that. It filters the water before it goes into the boiling chamber. So you put it somewhere in this line, wherever you want it, where it's easy to access. And this pre-filters your water. It takes the chlorine out and other things that a carbon filter can take out. Okay, there's also a post-filter kit, and you open it up and you pull out the post-filter, and this is where the post-filter goes, is in between the distiller and the tank. If there was a tank here, this little bracket sticks on top of the tank, and the post-filter sits in the bracket on top of the tank. This tube goes from the distiller to the filter, and these two elbows hook to the filter, and one goes into the tank and one goes onto the hose, and I'll show you how to put that together. If you take your distiller and gently turn it on its back so it can rest, it'll rest on the cord and the inlet, but this is where you hook your tube up. Now this is where a lot of people get stumped because they don't understand it at first because they've never seen a distiller. But this right here is where the distilled water comes out. So you put your tube hooked to that, and it's kind of a tricky thing to get on there because it fits tight, and you push it over the top of the stainless steel pipe. It takes a little effort to get on there, and you wiggle it around like around in a circle till it goes up on about a half an inch. Half an inch is fine. And then you slide your clamp over the top of your hose, and you tighten that up with a screwdriver right there so it doesn't come off. Okay, you'll notice on your filter there's some arrows that point the direction of the flow of the water. So we want to hook up the distiller to this side because that's the side the inlet is, and you just take a knife and pop the back off, and you pick up the elbow that's got barbs on it on this side. The other one hasn't got any barbs on the bottom of it. That's so it can fit inside the tank. Now these two nylon 90s, one's a hose barb on each end, but you'll notice one of them has the barbs clear out to the end. The other one has the first two hose barbs ground down and off. If you can see that, they're not there. It's important that you get the one that's smooth on the end on the exit side of the filter, because this end goes down in the tank. So just so you don't have to backtrack and undo it again, and this will save you time if you watch this and see how it goes in. But the smooth 90 goes to the outside where the out comes on the filter, the exit side of the filter. The first thing you do is screw the 90 into the filter, get it quite tight, and then you just push the filter onto this plastic line, and these hose barbs will hold this on there. It doesn't need it's no clamp required for that, and I won't push it all the way on because we're just demonstrating here. Then the other one just screws into the filter. You got to take the plug out. And this is how you change your filter. You should change your filter about once every 6 months in normal use. And so you know this is how you do it. And you can always order a new kit for your filter. And that's how it goes. Say this was your distiller tank. This goes on top of your distiller tank. And your filter lays in here like this, and this goes down in the hole in your tank, and that has a peel and stick cover right there, and that sticks to your tank. So get it adjusted where you want it before you stick it down. And then your distiller fits on top of your tank like such, and that's how the filter sets in as you're putting your distiller together. All your automatics are like this, the 30J and the 46C. They have the automatic water fill. They have an automatic shutoff on a tank. We're going to show you that. Hi, this is Reed Pettengill. I'm at the Durastill factory in Kansas City, Missouri today, and I'm going to show you how to unpackage a 4-gallon tank. And I want to show you the quality that they put into Durastill here. Even in their packaging, it's 2 boxes thick to protect it in shipping. Okay, you just open the box up and you get the tape cut on it, and remembering that it is 2 boxes thick, you tip it upside down and pull the first box off. See, how could that get hurt in shipping? It's just it's just immaculate the way they send these distillers out. There's not a chance that they could get damaged unless somebody sat on them or jumped on them. This is your 4-gallon tank. The first thing you pull out is a piece of cardboard that has your parts to your tank on it, and you set that to the side for a second. And then you see your tank is wrapped up in foam. 2 boxes, and then it's wrapped in foam. You slide it out, and you don't drop it on the floor. Take it out of the box. On the bottom side of it, you undo the tape. And unwrap it. And you'll go, wow, that's beautiful. And you'll see that on the tank there's a cord. A lot of people go, what on earth is that cord for? But if you look at the back side of the distiller, you'll see that cord goes into a box with a receptacle on it. Also, there's a float, and this is a float switch. So when the distiller is full, this float goes up and shuts the distiller off when the tank is full. That mechanism fits in there as a lid, and that groove is where the switch fits. And you make sure it's in the groove, and you can hear it click when you lift it up and down. This cord you undo, and this is the cord you plug into the wall. I'm going to turn it around now. You'll notice there's a hole right here in the front. You take the lid off and you find your spout in the tools here, the parts. Here's your spout, and it goes in that hole. It has an eyeglass on it. The reason I have you take the top out is because you have to reach down inside the tank like that and screw a nut on the back side of that spout to hold it on. And that's how you get your water out of the 4-gallon tank, by raising that spout. I'm going to put that on there for you to show you how it looks. Okay, I took two things out to hook the spout on: a rubber gasket and a nylon nut. Now the rubber gasket goes on the outside of the faucet. You just push that onto the threaded nipple that goes inside the tank. You push it into the hole right there like that, and you take your nut and you put it down in the tank. Just barely raise this wire up and get your hand in there. If my hand will go in there, anybody's hand will go in there, because I got bigger hands than most people. And you just reach in there and carefully thread that onto that spout, because if you get it cross-threaded, you might be calling for a new one. But just get it on there right the first time. Don't over-tighten it, and get it so it's tight when it comes to the top. You might have to back it off a little bit and get it to where it's very tight. Not so tight that you strip it out. And that's perfect right there. Get your hand back out and put your float switch back in. And there you are. You're ready to put your distiller on top of your tank. Now on top of this tank, we can put a 30J or a 46C. Okay, you'll see there's two holes in your 4-gallon tank. One of the holes is for an older model, and they still make that hole in these tanks so that if you order a 4-gallon tank for an older model that we no longer produce, you can still use this tank on it. They also send this little black plug so you can plug up that hole, because you won't use it in a 30J or a 46C. Either 30J or 46C can sit on this 4-gallon tank. Now, after you put your plug in that hole, you bring your filter assembly around. Be careful when you're balancing your distiller, you don't tip it over, but gently set it down, and you bring your filter around. Okay, what you do is you put this little rubber washer over that elbow and poke it so it flares down like that. What that does is when you put it in the tank, it makes a nice seal so dust and anything in the air doesn't get into your water. I'm going to show you how that goes all together. Now you can do this filter with the distiller on there, and you don't ever have to raise it up, but just so you can see what's happening, I'm raising it up. What you do is you get your filter like that, And what you do is you put that filter exit into that hole, and that puts filtered water into your 4-gallon tank, and you swing that around, and then you're ready to put your bracket on that holds the filter. You get your filter right where you want it. You get it where you want it, and then what you do is you can put a little mark where it goes. You raise it up and peel a sticky pad off the back and stick it down, and that'll hold your filter in place. And then you let your distiller back down, and you're good to go. Check, make sure that the outlet went in that hole and stayed in it, and the rubber seal is over the hole. You're good to go. You're good to go to make water. Now the only other thing is, on the back of this distiller, I've had people get mixed up on this. Okay, obviously this is the water inlet. You've already hooked that up with your pre-filter in place, in line. This is the cord that runs your distiller. Now it doesn't plug into the wall. I've had people plug this into the wall before and they say their distiller leaks. Well, the reason it leaks is because if you plug it into the wall, it never shuts off. So where you plug this in is down here in this switch. This is a float switch for the 4-gallon tank. When this float switch comes up, it turns the distiller off. When it goes down, it turns the distiller back on. So obviously, if you don't plug your distiller into your on and off switch, it isn't going to operate correctly. You plug this float switch into the wall. This vinyl tube you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. Then you slide your clamp up into place. And tighten that clamp up right there. Now you can, after you have your little steamer tube in this vinyl pipe, vinyl hose, you raise your distiller up and stick it in this hole. Now with your fan switch off, the distiller blows straight steam into the empty tank. With the fan switch on, it makes water. It cools the steam into water. So what we want to do is sterilize this tank, so we will leave the fan switch off, which will cause this tank to heat up the same temperature as boiling water, 212 degrees. Now with the steamer tube in the tank, you want to have it automatically fill, but what you want to do is turn the fan switch off to the off position. And in about 25 minutes, the boiling chamber will be boiling and you'll be pushing steam into this tank. After the tank's brought up to temperature, the thing you do then is you wait 10 minutes and let it cook. After it gets hot, let it stay hot for 10 minutes. That'll kill any bacterium, virus, or parasite that's in that tank. And then you turn on the fan switch, and it immediately starts cooling the steam, so everything will start to cool down immediately. You'll start making water. It'll be hot at first, and then it'll cool right down to room temperature. And then you insert the filter. Never put steam through a filter, it ruins it. So after you autoclave your distiller out, you clean your steam clean your tank, your new tank, you put a filter in line. After you've steamed out your tank with steam and it's been sterilized, time to put the post filter in. You put your two 90-degree nylon elbows on there, and you put the vinyl tubing on one side, which is the inside. You can see the arrow flowing that way. And then you line up the filter to one of these holes and slide it off to one side. And I'm going to raise this distiller up. You don't need to do that, but because we're filming it, I'm going to raise it up so you can see what we're doing here. Okay, when you get your filter in place, this vinyl tube, you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. Then you slide your clamp up into place. And tighten that clamp up right there. You don't have to worry about tightening the clamp up on the filter. Under this little bracket right here is a peel and stick tape. You line your distiller up, mark the spot where you want it to be. You reach under there and pull the peel and stick tape off, and then you just stick it down to the top of the distiller right there. You put this little washer on right here on the 90 that keeps a seal on the tank so nothing gets in there. No dirt or insects or anything like that can get in. Now you're making distilled water that's very nice to drink, 99.9% pure water, and this is a great distiller.